Hello, hello. Think what's up, guys? I think I am going to I'm gonna go on to Instagram real quick and do a live. Just go on there, see if I can get any other questions and combine this into All right, so now I'm on Instagram. All right, what's up, Instagram? I am going live on my YouTube, so I'm just gonna keep up this Instagram feed in case anyone has any questions, then they can ask me any questions on Instagram or go on to my YouTube. I'm going to do some. I have my Ableton open on YouTube, so I also go on my screen share on Ableton. If anybody has any questions on that, so I'm just gonna leave this live on for Instagram and also for YouTube, but the main thing is on YouTube. So if you want to watch on YouTube on your desktop, then go ahead and go on there. So, hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? How's your Friday going? Happy New Music Friday. Did anybody put out any music? What's going on this week? Anybody make any new songs? Any new music you're working on? What is everybody doing? What's everybody up to? How's it going? Any new things going on this week? Anybody mix any new songs? Make some money mixing? Anybody get their streaming royalties, their 0.004 cents from Spotify? AWOL just posted a little thing. They said that they have distributed $100,000 to hundreds of artists, which is kind of depressing because that's a pretty small number considering the amount of artists that distribute on it AWOL. So working on a cover. What's up, Frank? Working on a cover. What's the cover of? How are you recording it? Is it piano, guitar? Are you gonna do a live cover, post it on YouTube? What's the cover gonna be? Yes, trying to mix Sammy J. Producer underscore. What are you mixing, Sammy? This is from Instagram. So yeah, guys, I just want to go on. I'm on. If you're on YouTube and you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my Instagram screen, and I'm gonna try and answer questions from both of these feeds and see if anybody has anything. So yeah, if you have any like music production things, any questions, feel free to ask. QP View says trying to make reggaeton. All right, nice. Who do you like? What kind of artist do you like? Maluma, Bad Bunny, J Balvin. Who else? Daddy Yankee. I have a Ableton reggaeton template too available that you can download. It's just like a basic, super simple template for if you want to do something like Con Calma. I just have like the piano in there and then just some reggaeton drums. But the thing with reggaeton is that you can reuse. I mean, the drums are essentially the same on most of the songs. Sammy J. Producer underscore an R&B track. Nice. How's it going? You killing the mix, crushing it. Ayush Kadam. Hi, sir. How's it going? Hey, how's it going? Frank co-wrote and produced a track coming out September 18th. Nice. Awesome. Is it for yourself or who's it for? Another artist? I actually have a song coming out on August 27th. That's next Thursday. I have a song coming out. So it's gonna be a house track. Um, and yeah, it should be cool. I like it. It's called Run Away. And I'll post about next week. But yeah, that's coming out next week. And I'm working on another song, another house song. The songwriter, he's actually going to be writing it today and then sending me some melodies to go over. And then I think we're going to write the lyrics and then get someone to sing on it. So that's kind of what's going on right now. Let's see. Am winning. All right, great. Sammy.j producer. What's your mastering chain? My mastering chain. All right, let me see if I can show you my mastering chain. If I go to Ableton, let's open this up. Mastering chain. Oh, actually, you're on Instagram, so I am going to see on my YouTube. I have my mastering chain. Yep. Do it. My mastering chain usually consists of basically I will put a compressor on the master and then follow that compressor up with a soft clipper. So I'll take off any of the clips that I'm missing with the compressor, and then I'll follow up that compressor with a EQ, and then I will do some kind of processing. I will maybe do like some stereo expansion or some exciting or possibly some tape um, saturation using like a tape plugin, or maybe just adding some saturation somehow or exciting, and then uh, some stereo imaging, and then I'll use like a limiter. So the Pro L2 or Ozone 9, or I'll use Ozone. Yeah, I think Ozone or Pro L2 has kind of been like the limiters that I've been using most recently. Let's see. Frank, Be Kind, Marshmallow, Halsey, all the instruments, guitars. Nice. So that's for your cover that you're going to make. How long does it take you on average to mix a song? I don't know. It depends. It depends because I I produce and mix, but usually I'm when I'm producing, I'm trying to I'm doing some mixing, but then I'll start to use reference tracks more whenever I get into like the mixing phase. And usually mixing is like where I'm like, all right, I'm not going to add anything else. And then I just start grouping everything and busting everything and then putting it all together. So I don't know, maybe like a couple of days. But then the way that I mix, I'm usually bouncing like every time I change something, I bounce it down and then I save the session because sometimes I'll just keep going and keep mixing, and then it's like, oh, now I have 5 mixes and I've bounced down the audio, and I'll listen to like all 5 of those mixes, and it's like, oh, the third one was the best, and I'll just go back to that third one and then make any adjustments to that third one, and then use that one as the final version. Because yeah, a lot of times you just kind of like overmix stuff, or you find one version that works better than. It's not always the last version that you make is the best, and that's what actually happened on this last song that I did. I had like 5 mixes or so, and then I ended up going back to like the third mix that I did to use for the final. Bad Bunny, Ozuna, yeah, I like those, I like them. I was before the pandemic. I was doing DJ sets. I was DJing reggaeton in Hollywood. I was doing like a DJ night and DJing reggaeton stuff, so that was pretty cool. What's up, Stefano Jursteet? Junior Steet? Sam is legend. Changed my mind. Yeah, change his mind. I don't know. What's your rap vocals? Waves plugin mixing chain. Rap vocals. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that would be any different from my regular chain, but I'd probably, if I'm doing rap vocals, start off taking off any of the low frequencies. So putting EQ to low cut anything. Use a compressor, probably at least 2 compressors. So if you have RVox, use RVox. So use a CLA 76 RVox, and then if you have CLA vocals, use the turn off everything on CLA vocals and just use like the treble and the compress and just like heavily compress. Because for rap vocals, you want things, you want it like super super compressed and in the front of the mix, and that's for like the lead vocal. So always make sure that the lead rap vocal is in the center of your mix. Don't like spread it out and make it all weird. But a lot of times in rap songs, you're gonna layer it with a lot of ad libs and shouts and things on the sides. So that's whenever you're gonna spread out your vocals. And then I wouldn't use reverb very much. I would use something short like a plate reverb, and then I would use like delays, but automate the delays in between sections so that it's not like delays everywhere, because if they're, it depends on like how they're rapping, but you don't want all these like delays happening when they're rapping. Frank says another artist from Australia. Nice. Sir, can I use DT770 for mixing and mastering? What are your reviews? I don't know. What is DT770? Is that like a plugin? Barodynamics, is that a Barodynamics DT770? Let me check. Let me see. What is that? Is that, I gotta look that up. I have no idea what that is. Barodynamics 770? What is that? Headphones? Sure. Yeah, use them. You gotta figure out how to use what you got. So, um, if you, well, you have our Apple headphones, and that's all you got to mix on. So you just gotta work with what you got. I answer. Um, are they the best? I don't know. I don't know if they're the best. There's hundreds of headphones out there that you can use for mixing, so I wouldn't necessarily say that one is the best. The thing is, when you are looking for headphones, do they fit within your budget? And then within your budget, then you have to figure out, are they open back or closed back? If you're mixing, you generally want something that is open back, and you probably want something that covers your entire ears so that you are like kind of, you don't really need something. So I have Bose, but I don't like mix on Bose, but I use these a lot for like listening. But for mixing, I wouldn't never use. For mixing, I use these, which are Ultrasone Pro 750 headphones, and I've had them for a while. I've just used them forever. So just once you do buy a new pair of headphones, just understand how they work, listen to other songs on them, and understand how other songs sound on them. Will you do a video on automation? What is your question on automation? I have a couple videos that talk about automation for like reverb and vocals. But what specifically do you want to know on automation? I mean, automation, if you go into Ableton and you want to automate something, and now I'm Ableton. I mean, automation, you just go into Ableton and hit the A key, and then you can automate. So here's my automation line. And then you just adjust that. And then if you have, you want to automate plugins, then you go to the plugin parameter. You want to automate, right click, show automation, and then you can, a new automation line will pop up, and then you can automate it like that. How do you approach having a full sounding lead vocal in your songs? What's your process in doubles, reverb, delays to support the lead vocal? So when using LCR panning, how do you place guitars, strings, and synths if they are mono? Do you hard pan the elements to one side and then send it to a delay to the other? So for a lead vocal, well, first I make sure that the lead vocal, like the level of the lead vocal, fits within the song. So I make sure that the level is right. So that's just a matter of listening to the vocal without any processing on it and playing it in the track and then adjusting the volume and the gain and trying to get it to a level that sounds good without any processing on it. And then once I have that level, I will start EQing it and then compressing it. And then I'll try and get like a good dry vocal sound. So dry vocal sound with EQ and compression. And then once I have that sound right, then I will start to add the effects. So after I have that dry vocal sound good, then I'll add on the effects and I will do reverb and then delay. And I'll usually use 1 to 2 reverbs, 1 to 2 delays. If it's a long delay, I'll sidechain the delay. Like if it's a quarter note delay, I'll sidechain the quarter note delay so that the delay comes up in the gaps, or I'll automate those to come up in the gaps, or I'll print the reverb and just have another track that has the printed reverb on it to fill in, or like the delays to fill in the empty spaces. My process on doubles, reverb, delays to support the lead vocal. So once I process the lead vocal, and if the vocal for the harmonies and the backgrounds is the same vocalist and it was recorded in the same room and the same mic, then you can process them basically the same. So copy the chain, get your lead vocal sounding good, copy the chain, and then I take off the like delays for the backgrounds because you don't really need a lot of like reverb and delays for backgrounds. So you can experiment with like the reverb and delay, and then I will actually take off more of the high end of the backgrounds because you want to essentially create a bed for your lead vocal. So your lead vocal needs to sit on top of the background vocals. If you have your background vocals processed exactly the same, then they're going to interfere with the lead vocal because you're going to have all this. Your lead vocal, you're pushing the high end, and if you do that the same for all the backgrounds, then it's just going to have too much high end, and so it's going to be distracting. So you need to cut out some of the high end out of the backgrounds, and that's just experiment with that. Like it's not like you need to do that all the time, but that's something that I try to look at. Um, when using LCR, so LCR is a technique where you only pan things hard left, hard center, and then hard right. How do you place guitars, strings, and synths if they are mono? I don't, I don't, I try not to pan stuff too much. If I have guitars and I want to make them wide, then I'll add like a chorus or a phaser or like a stereo widener plugin because those are using they're using like phase. They're basically duplicating it and then phasing it, and that's what's giving the perception of width when you're using those. So it depends on the guitar part. If it's a lead guitar part, I probably wouldn't pan it. I would keep it pretty center, but then I might add like a reverb to give it a sense of stereo. If I have one guitar part, then I could, and it's like it's like the rhythm guitar part, then I could duplicate it. I could process the first one, duplicate it, and then pan it to left and right, and then like alter the settings on one of the guitars, and then yeah, you could like delay it or detune it so that it sounds wide. And then yeah, I mean the thing about using a like duplicating something and then using a delay and then making it wide is that that doesn't really work when you listen to it in mono because you're creating that's like the Haas effect where you take one sound and then duplicate it and delay it. It sounds wider. Um, so yeah, I would experiment with maybe using like chorus and like flanger or phaser and see if those can add width, and then listen to them in mono and make sure that it's not like messing with your sound in mono. I've only used EQ and compression, only a little bit of reverb. All right. What are my mistakes? I don't know what are your mistakes for what exactly? Is there another way to use a sidechain high pass filter so that you can filter off the low end when compressing so that the low end does not compress if your compressor does not have the sidechain high pass filter option? Is there another way to sidechain high pass filter? I'm not sure exactly what you mean. I mean, do you mean so like in Ableton, if I go into Ableton, so if I go into Ableton and I put a compressor, a track, I can open up the compressor and then I can change, I can go to this EQ option and I can change like this is a low cut. So I can turn up the frequency or turn it down, and that determines what frequencies are getting passed through the compressor. And then I could turn on the sidechain um, like that. So I don't know if that's what you mean or if you mean um, that the compressor is only turning down, that the sidechain is only turning down like the low end or the high end. I think yeah, I'll have to look into how to do that because I mean a lot of the plugins I have you can do that like with the Fab Filter compressor you can do that. Um, because the Fab Filter compressor does that, and I think I'll have to test it out with the Ableton's compressor. What is a better way to mix between the section violins and the basses with the bass line of a bass guitar? How can I cut through each separately and make all sound clear with all other instruments? I'm just trying to figure out what that means. What is a better way to mix between the section violins and the basses with the bass line of a bass guitar? How can I cut through each separately and make sound clear with all instruments? Um, do you have a bass guitar and you have bass strings? If you have a bass guitar and bass strings, then That depends which one you want to predominantly jump out in the track. So you could low cut the bass strings so that you're getting a lot of the low end from the bass guitar. You also want to make sure that both are in mono. It's not a good idea to layer your low end, because if you lower your lay end, if you layer your low end a lot, then you can run into phasing issues. So figure out what is going to occupy the low end, and low end I'm talking like 100 hertz and below. So you could try cutting off a lot of the frequencies from the bass strings and then making some of the high frequencies from the strings wide. And then from the bass, you can cut off some of the high frequencies, make that occupy most of the low end. And you could also sidechain the bass strings to the bass guitar so that the bass guitar is always coming through and ducking the bass strings. Automation to make the chorus hit harder. So you could automate the master. So if I go to my master, you never want to go to above 0 dB. So what you could do is let's say this is the verse, say this is chorus, and then this is the verse. So you could basically lower the verse like 0.5 dB, like that. So you could lower the verse section like 0.5 dB and then raise the chorus up to 0 dB. And you would never want to, because basically when you're mastering, you're limiting everything. So if you are going to automate the master, then you'd want to automate after the limiter, and you wouldn't want to go above 0 dB or else you could distort your master. So like you could go like negative, but you also don't want to you don't want to go very too much lower. So I could go negative 1 dB for the verse, and then say I have a pre-chorus here. I could raise it up to negative 5 dB, and then the chorus would go all the way up to 0 dB here. So then verse -1, pre-chorus -5, chorus 0, and then after the chorus, you could take it back down to 0.5. So after you do your mastering chain, you could automate the actual master volume of the master. Talking about Ozone 9 mastering plugin, which would be the best preset to start on mastering. I actually don't use any of the presets on Ozone 9. So I don't really know which one to start on mastering. Probably the one that has, let me look. Let me look at it real quick. Let's see. Ozone 9. Presets. All-purpose mastering, genre-specific mastering. I mean, all that matters is that whichever one you think sounds best to put on the preset. I probably, if I started with a mastering preset, I probably wouldn't use something that had too much effect. Maybe this warm mid-range or like wide high end. Master glue, let's see what that is. Yeah, maybe try master glue, low end punch, low end power. Yeah, just scroll through them and see which one sounds best. Try the I think anything that has like glue in it or adding more mid range. That's usually where people lack, is that they lack some of the mid range. But then also people have muddy mixes and then they have too much mid range, and so that's kind of the issue. So if your mix is sounding weak, then you probably lack mid range. If your weak is sounding muddy, then you probably have too much mid range. What qualities do you usually look for when processing pop vocals? For example, brightness, punchy. Um, well, I make sure they're really in tune, first of all. Um, I also make sure, I mean, you got to make sure that everything before you even start processing them is good. So you have to clean them up quite a bit. So make sure that, let's see. So make sure that they're like in tune. Make sure that you're cutting out the empty spaces, cutting out the breaths. You could gate the breaths, or you could cut them out manually. Use a lot of manual de-essing, because as you make vocals brighter, it makes the S's worse. So you just gotta like de-ess the crap out of them in order to get them as bright as you want them. So um, everyone's gonna like, I don't know, if you go on any of the internet forums, people will tell you that they'll all talk about like de-essers and stuff, but you really just have to do it manually. You got to de-ess manually, and then you can use a de-esser plugin to clean that up after you have de-essed it manually. So if you just go through the lead vocal, I mean, it'll take you like less than an hour to do, or maybe even like 20, 30 minutes just to do it. And you just like de-ess the vocal, go through every single S in the vocal, and turn down, automate it down. And then you don't have to worry about the S like the rest of the time. Or you could chop off every single S and put them onto a new track. And that's I have a video on YouTube that talks about how to do that. So um, I just try and make them like as bright as possible. Like just keep raising the high end, take off as much of like the 250 range as I can without it sounding like super weak. I don't really look for punch. I don't ever really think about like how punchy are these vocals. I also like, as I'm editing the vocal, I also make sure that the gain is similar throughout. So I might have to adjust clip gain for like quiet and loud sections. If it's a super loud section and a super quiet section, or if it's like the tonality of the voice is different, then I'll have to break up that lead vocal into separate tracks and process them almost the same but a little bit differently. Because if somebody is singing in a raspy tone and then switches to like screaming, then you can't process it the same way. But you can start with um you can kind of get like some of the settings set up for like the quiet vocal, and then when it goes to the loud vocal, put it onto a new track, and then just like adjust the settings, and you should get something that sounds like pretty similar as far as the processing goes. Um, you are welcome. So yeah, anyway, I was actually checking out this other thing today called King Sumo. Let's see if I can. Trying to get rid of. Okay, there we go. This thing called King Sumo. Um, if you are trying to grow your following, and so I'll show you. This is kind of. I'm probably gonna set this up. I'm probably gonna do a giveaway for my serum preset pack. But if you're trying to grow your following, then you could do something like a giveaway and get people to join your email list or get them to join, follow you on like Instagram. Because I could go make a giveaway for something, enter my email, and then it will say like, uh, enter subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram, and you'll get like more entries. So if you're trying to market something, if you're like an artist and you're trying to like grow your following of fans, you could give away something for free that your fans would want. If you're like a mix engineer, you could do something like give away a free like a presets or like mixing templates, try and grow your client list. So this is kind of a cool thing. It's free. It's called kingsumo.com. Um, so I don't know. I might use this. I did before just kind of program it custom for my website because I just did a giveaway. It was a couple weeks ago. I did a giveaway for Ozone plugins. All right, see ya, Frank. Taking off. Ayush Kadam. I hope I'm saying your name right. I use a perfect vocal track after EQ and compression. I send it to another channel and make it stereo with stereo enhancer, and then again EQ with a different touch with a little reverb. Yeah, I mean, I would be careful about because you don't want to. If you have a lead vocal, you don't want to process it too much with like stereo enhancement stuff because then when you listen to the song in a mono situation, and keep in mind that like most phones, they may say that they're stereo, but because the speakers are so close together on your phone, like your phone speakers, like you're hearing it mono. So just make sure that it still sounds good in mono, like it doesn't. Because sometimes when you add stereo expansion on a lead vocal, then it can make it lose impact. So you just got to be careful with that. All right. I think if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to get out of here. So let me know, guys, if you have any more questions. And not, then I'm going to get out of here. I hope you all have a good Friday. Happy Friday. You are welcome, Ayush. So yeah, everyone have a good Friday. I'm gonna get out of here. If you have any other questions, feel free to DM me or watch some of my videos on YouTube. I have them come out every single week, and subscribe so you get updated with everything. QP View, one last question. I have a song release next Friday. Do you have any promotion tips? If you have a Spotify profile set up, go look at who your the other artists that Spotify recommends. It'll be on your profile. Like it'll say like other people that it'll say like let me look. What does it say? It says fans also like. So go to your fans also like, see what artists that fans also like, go and click on their songs, see if their songs are in any other playlist, find those playlists that those other artist songs are in, and find contact information for those playlists if they're not a Spotify playlist, and then send your track to this playlist. So between now and Friday, spend a lot of time doing that. It's going to take you a couple hours a day. Put together a spreadsheet of contact information so that when your song comes out, you can shoot all these people a Spotify link to your song. And that's how I do it for Spotify promotion. All right. See y'all soon.